Well, my friends, I apologize for that. But just as I was about to start the show, what happens? The power goes off. Now we have a giant generator that basically allows you to flush your toilets and runs the elevators and runs the hall lights and runs the pool lights and runs all the stuff that you don't actually own inside your condominium. So it's not the end of the world. But inside your condominium, no, the lights are off. And I didn't, while I was trying to remember where I put the generator, the lights came back on. So, be that as it may, I am starting again. I hope you'll join me. I haven't been here for a week or so. And just to recap, because I'm going to delete that little video, is this is Le Fournier by Da Vinci. It's in the Louvre. Bit of controversy about this painting back in the 1920s and 30s. However, it has been certified a Da Vinci. No question about it. Fingerprints and all that. Same as the Mona Lisa. And what else do I have to say about it? The name is incorrect. The name is incorrect. Now I've got a little button spinning here. I do not know what that means. Je ne sais pas. I assume I'm still recording, but just absolutely in case, I'll just give it a quick reboot here. Just to see if all is well. It's still spinning. Okay, well, be that as it may, I hope this is recording. However, if it isn't, I'm sure I'll have to get my buddy Scott to figure out what the hell's going on. Anyway, I'm starting off with her face. And, oh, wait a minute now. I can see it coming down now. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Seems to be. And what I'm going to start with is the underpainting, which, as I had mentioned, is chromium oxide green and some transparent white, and I will endeavor to cover her face in these colors, and that's the way I will get the tones of flesh that is needed for this painting. Okay? By the way, anybody interested in the original Black Panther, it has been sold. Sorry to say. It's on the rotation, but it is no longer available. If you were so inclined. Oh, my daddy's red. And I'll mix up a nice little greenish tone for that. It's got a little bit of more white needed, which I should have guessed, but I didn't. Transparent white, there we go. And we'll get a nice light green. And again, if you want to know why I'm using green, just look at the back of your hand, look at the vein, see the color it is, and that answers all questions instantly. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Hush, little darling. I'm using a fairly small brush here, and the reason I'm using it is because I want to make sure I get all brush strokes taken out. Sometimes you get a ridge on a larger brush, and I don't want that ridge there, so I'm making sure I absolutely have no ridges. Because Da Vinci painted without any impasto at all. Yeah, I'm saying that, but you know, he did use bits and places, a little bit of impasto, but not much. The actual technique really hadn't been invented yet, so it would all be remember, this guy was painting in the Renaissance, the higher point of the Renaissance. And let me tell you, these guys were extremely well-trained painters. And Da Vinci's teacher was Verrocchio, who was a master himself. In painting, he didn't obviously have Da Vinci's total intellectual prowess. In fact, I don't think anybody ever has. But he, artistically, he was his peer. And considering that Da Vinci took an apprenticeship from him for 8 years, he spent the first 4 as an apprentice, got his shingle, joined the guild of, I think it was Florence at the time, in Florence, and decided he wasn't ready, and went back for another 4 years. So, if you're wondering if Verrocchio was a great painter, don't wonder anymore. If Da Vinci thought so, that's good enough for me. Well, I gotta tell you too, I'm a fan of Westworld. And I gotta tell you, I watched week 1 through 7, and I'll tell you, I was extolling the virtues. Really, I was just absolutely blown away. New situations, new everything. And then I watched episode 8, and let me tell you, I could have watched the entire episode. I think I did in 5 minutes. Talk about filler. I mean, they should be ashamed of themselves. So obvious that they wanted to give themselves a bit more time, or I don't know what it was, but it should have never been aired. And if it had been aired, they should have made it like 8 minutes of the narrative. What they did is they gave it like almost an hour of the narrative, which is a lot when it comes to a 10-hour series or whatever the hell it is. And honestly, disgusted. I thought, oh God. So I'm not advocating it anymore. I mean, if you're going to sell out and piss off your viewers, the same thing happened to The Walking Dead. How many people say, nah, I'm tired of the filler. Move the story along, please. If you're not going to do that, I'm not watching. And they stopped. Why do you think the guy who plays the lead's leaving? He knows the writing's on the wall. He doesn't want to go out with any attachment to the negative press as an actor. He's got some acting chops, so he figures, well, I can parlay that into some lucrative acting jobs, which he can. But you sure as hell don't want to be on the side that says you're canceled. You want to go out with on the high ground, and that's exactly what he's doing. And I don't blame him. The series is well, the actual series, the story is still good. It's the way they handle it. It's constant, absolute constant sidebar shit that you can constantly have to put up with. And personally, I ain't putting up with it anymore. I stopped watching it. Which is a shame, because they had a great thing going. All they had to do, I mean, it's not like there's a shortage of good writers out there. All they had to do was pay a bit more, but you know, profit, salaries, who knows. But you know, the series is bringing in some serious coin. And like all series eventually do, they screwed themselves. Too much greed. All it takes is one thing. Move the story along. Stop with this crap. In-depth character studies that take... You can imagine reading a book, and it's got 20 chapters in the book. And one character, just one, takes 2 chapters. And then you multiply that out by other characters. Pretty soon you're going, you know what? I'm not reading this book. All it is a gigantic character study. There's no action, no nothing. It's all touchy-feely. What's my motivation? How do I feel? Who gives a shit? Move the story along. I mean, people who write books know this. Hell, I wrote a book. I know exactly what how to do this stuff. But, no, not so much the TV guys. No. Obviously not. They should talk to some book writers. They'll tell you, you want to screw with people, then they'll just stop reading you, or they'll stop watching you in this case. So, I mean, I think the epitome of a series that really kind of knows what they're doing, because they overblew their characters. There isn't one main character. Is Game of Thrones. They did not make this mistake. They shoot in about 5 different continents or something, and they constantly have 5 storylines running at one time, or less. I don't know, more or less, but That's why everybody loves it. They know. Well, you think The Walking Dead, with the money that's been pulled in off that stuff, would have figured that out. I mean, God, oh no, not more. Jeez, I don't want the power off again. I don't mind the storm, but I don't want the... Which I don't understand. You know, we're not living in Botswana. What is the problem with the power? Hush, little darling. Now, as is my wont, I will not do the garments until later. Because it takes a lot of glazing, so I'm not going to even underpaint them. I'll do all that when I get to it. If that sounds okay. Oh, my daddy's son, and the living is easy. Hush, little darling. Da, 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 The only wish if they've got this, somebody tell me, but I wish they had a leveling medium in acrylics that does not leave, like I know they have it, that does not leave a gloss finish. I don't want a gloss finish on it until I decide to put it on. So if you're leveling, don't put a gloss finish on it, because then I spend all this time having to cover it up. So I'm asking politely, invent this or do it, or whatever you have to do, whatever formulation you need, or whatever, get on it. And if you want to know when I want it, like yesterday, okay? Yesterday. Yeah, I'm not in a hurry. Yesterday's fine. Now, as you know, I use Liquitex Professional and basically Winsor Newton Professional Acrylics. But I have, from Belize, quite a bit of acrylics from Tri Art. Now, I don't usually kick a company in the rear end. But with Tri-Art, I'm going to make a bit of an exception. Their tube design is absolutely horrendous. And God, did somehow get out of... There, I think that's better. Camera adjustment anyway. So I don't really know why they have done that, but it's really a pain in the butt. It really is. Because the paint dries out so fast. That's the problem. But that said, I'm leaving you for a second because I want to go get another brush. I really like these little octagonal brushes because they sit so perfectly in your hand. You see they've made it square, 4 square. So when you touch it, it fits exactly right. I like that. I like it. I like it a lot. And this is almost dried, so. Color scheme. Well, what exactly are we going to do for a color scheme? I know the first thing I'm going to do is get a close-up. If I can get a close-up of, there we go. 1280p, and it looks, I can see the cracks, unbelievable. Wow. Okay. Oh boy. Yep, one thing he knew how to do was paint. And I thought I would just reach over and get the Tri-Art paint I was talking about. Oh, there it is right there. Alright, be that way. This is the tube design they have with a snap cap. Terrible. Really, just terrible. Never saw anything like it. But I guess it works for them. You don't see Riotech too much around here anymore, but maybe a lot of people felt that way. I don't know, but it's possible. And let's see, we'll put a little bit of violet iron oxide in it, just to give it a bit of pop. Okay. And it's pinky. So I think I'll put a little bit of cad red medium out. Just a tad. And I know these are going to dry because it's hot under the lights and whatnot. So what I'll do, as I always do, is put some retarder in there, hoping against hope that what does the trick. It gives me a bit more time, I must admit, but not enough that I'm super happy with. But the color's about right. Damnation. I'll put just a tiny bit of red into it. There we go. Yes, 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 yes. Very particular about my flesh tones. But again, my flesh tones are a combination of rather exotic colors, and I layer them to death. So if you've been watching how I paint, you will have noticed that. It's layer after layer till I get exactly what I want. And the next painting is going to be one complicated deal, I gotta tell you. Because after this, we're doing a slight move to a different style of painting. And I'm doing The Charge of the Light Brigade, an extremely complicated painting. But as you well know, the more complicated it is, the better I like it. Isn't that crazy? Da, 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 easy, hush, little baby. Layer after layer. Hush, little darling. Oh, oh, she cried. Well, the roar's gone. That's the industrial sized generator that's here. I think it's big enough to run General Motors. I know it's big enough to run this building. It's huge. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a bigger generator, to be honest with you. Now this is a beautiful thing about acrylic. You can go back into it right after you put the grisaille down because it dries that fast. Man, incroyable. Oh, by the way, the man in the gold helmet sold too. Anybody was interested in that? I did take a break. And I took a break because I needed to do a couple of things. One was I restored, I didn't have to do anything, but I restored a large painting, cleaned it and restored it, which I happen to know how to do, so I did that. And it was picked up today, and I think the people are very happy with it. And I also planned out the next couple of paintings. I've got the Charge of the Light Brigade planned out, okay, and yeah, regular working artist stuff that I ended up doing. So I have been away, I do admit, but needless to say, here I am, back at the Twitch Foundry. You hear me say it, it sounds like I'm mixing some mint or something. It's not, but anyway, that's why I had a few jobs I had to do. Yeah, and they're done. And well, they're not everything's done, but a couple of big jobs still need to be done, but enough to give me some time. You know, art's like a car. You got to keep filling your art tank. You know, like only it's mental. It isn't. So you can't get too busy because stuff you want to do yourself, which is like this kind of stuff, which is for spec, right? Which simply means it's going out as it'll go be offered for sale without a commission involved here. It's just I want to do it. You can't do too much because what happens is you end up with like art fatigue, and you don't want that to happen. You know how I get around that, so I don't like lay up my brushes or anything like that. What I do is I just go and do another job, art job that I have to do, and that's exactly what happened. And now the tank is full again, and away I go. Amazing how that works. Also, too, it's the complexity of the piece. The one I just finished, the Engrais, the Bather, it was, I mean, there was a lot of background in it, so there was a lot of work that had to be done outside the figure, which I like doing the best, obviously. And it kind of wore out, or not wore out, but emptied my art chest a little bit. So now that it's filled again, it's behind me. But that's what happens. I think, you know, like, people will say, who don't know how to sort of handle it, though, I haven't painted in 6 months. Well, you got to know the signs, and you got to know what to do about it. That's the key. You have to know what to do about it. And what to do about it is to change the focus. What I used to do is go right into watercolor, and that would do the trick 99 times out of 100. But I haven't really figured out on Twitch how to do a watercolor, simply because you gotta put the geez, I hope that was an airplane. Anyway, I really haven't figured out how to do it here, but I will, and then you'll see watercolor, because I just did a big watercolor commission. Biggest watercolor I've ever done. Huge, 30 by 40 inches. Huge. But yeah, it was kind of fun, because I would have never done a watercolor that big unless it was a commission. And in all the years I've been painting, I've never been asked to do a watercolor that big. And of course I said sure. Then I had to figure out, like, okay, had to change brushes, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes with it. Because when you're doing a watercolor, usually there's not a lot of paint you're mixing up at one time. It's a different process. And what you have to adjust for if you're doing a gigantic painting like that is you have to adjust for this huge dimensional painting. And I did. Yes, I did. I adjusted. But as you plan your attack, you know, you've got to completely change the focus on it. Just how you do things. Because again, man, it's huge. It's huge. It was so big, the bastard framers, honestly, they had the frame, but the framers were looking at it saying, oh, yeah, that's really big. We're going to have to do this and that and this and that and this and that. And they came to me and said, like, yeah, I want like $300 to frame this picture. And if I've got the frame and everything, like, I said, okay, shit, go order the glass and I'll frame it for you. Which I did in about 20 minutes, half hour tops. In fact, it was so fast, I didn't even charge them. I said, oh, shit, don't even worry about it. They had everything. The framing things, the glass, what do you call those things for glass? Same as you put up mirrors with. I have all the tools for that, so it was nothing to it. I said, yeah, you wonder why all the framers went out of business. Or they wonder, what did we do wrong? You bastards, that's why. And to be honest with you, I haven't dealt with a framer in a long time. Ever since they invented gallery canvases. And I have nothing against them, but you know, like they overrated their contribution. I mean, come on. They didn't make the frame. They're assemblers, that's what they are. And they got carried away with their contribution. They started saying, oh, wow, yeah, we get to be paid too. Yeah, well, you know, when it's taking you 20 minutes to put something together, you should really not gouge the people. And I knew a couple of framers. I don't know what happened to them, but they had taken a bite. They had had a drink of the Kool-Aid, and I said, "Oh, okay." Now that was weird. I haven't got a radio on then. All of a sudden I started hearing some. That was weird. May you live in a haunted studio. But it definitely was. It was a little weird. I don't know where that music come. I'm sure that Sony Music claimed that I've broadcast it, so nothing will change. Nat, thank you. Thank you for following, man. That's really nice of you. Oh, that's where the music is. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Okay. Yeah, thank you. I forgot that there was a little music interlude there when somebody follows. That's what happens when you have a technical genius set you up and you're just a guy who paints. That's what happens. Anyway, thank you for following. That's really good. Appreciate it. And I hope you like Da Vinci, because you're going to see him layer for layer how he's done and how he did it. How did Leonardo paint that? Well, you will see. Now, the only difference is I'm painting it in acrylic and he painted it in oil. But I'm painting this like it was in oil. Layer by layer. And the wind's in favor on me on this one because Leonardo was known to just love using tons and tons of glazes, and that's exactly what's happening here. The glazes will be coming like mad. But thank you for following. That was really great. Really appreciate it. And a lot of my older students have been ribbing me about the acrylics. But you said, I said, I know, I said, yeah, well, I know you taught me acrylics, but you know, you always said, I know. Because now that I've got the genie out of the bottle, I take it all back. But it was fun learning how to do an oil rendering of an acrylic rendering to make it. It's fun making it look like an oil. I gotta admit, this is lots of fun. I enjoy it anyway. And really, I don't know anybody else who's doing it. In my circle, anyway. I don't know. I had a couple of artist friends who were rather skeptical. That's until they saw the man with the golden helmet. Then they stopped being skeptical. And the lady with the pearl earring got them too. What was the other one they really liked? I'm trying to think. Oh, the Swartz, the Baroque painter. Yes, for some reason they all like that one a lot. Michael Swartz painting. Mainly because he's the type of painter art dealers and museums and whatnot know a lot of. There just isn't that much of his work around, so artists kind of know, but the general public just doesn't know unless they look them up. It's not like it's a secret, it's just that, you know, there's a lot of painters out there from long ago, and the thing about Swartz is he was a contemporary of, near contemporary of Vermeer, and they know a lot about him. That's the neat thing about it. They know there's records, mainly because he relocated to Rome and became one of a special school in Rome. But just offhand, I don't remember the name of it. But he did a lot of work in Rome and became known to the Vatican and got a lot of commissioned work. So he was fairly well known in his time, but there isn't a ton of his work survives. Like Vermeer, like nobody knew who Vermeer was until the late 1800s. Or early, I'm not quite sure if it was late or early, but anyway. And a lot of those guys too, you know, were misidentified. You know, they thought maybe a Swartz was Vermeer or vice, because they were doing their Trones. Who did the Trone? You know? Well, was it Swartz or Vermeer? They finally separated it all out and figured it out, but for a long time there, nobody knew. Which is fine, because the skill was there. But again, like even Vermeer, there isn't a lot of work. I mean, was there 33 paintings or something? At one point there was only 29, but they proved that. That's the thing, it used to be just opinion to prove it. Now they've got such detailed techniques, and you know, like scans and color pigments and what did they use and the brush strokes, even if they changed, and oh god, they got everything. As I say, even down to the fingerprints, so they can pretty well tell if a painter is who he says he was. Damn it, I messed up on my sketch there a bit. I'll have to fix that. Okay. What else is new? I want to get this a little flatter here. I'm going to mix some water into it. I want some of the grisaille coming out. Hush, little darling. Oh man, this is going to be a bitch to paint. Oh well. Nobody to blame but myself. I've never done the Mona Lisa, by the way. I'll be honest with you, it just doesn't appeal to me. I mean, as a painting, as subject matter, not the ability that he showed doing it, but as a painting, it just didn't appeal to me, the subject matter. So I've never done it. I have done other varnish, like I did the lady in the ermine, and I did it in oil, and I've always been very happy with that painting. In fact, I liked it so much I kept it. Was it that one I kept? Yeah, I kept it. I have it. Oh, it was the girl with the pearl earring I did two of. Yeah, I liked it so much I did it. Actually, I've done it 3 times. And I did Lady in the Ermine twice too, when I think about it. The reason I did, the first time I did it in graphite. Great big graphite drawing, like 12 by 18. In absolute incredible detail. But again, it has been sold as well. Many years ago. God, I love saying that. These many years ago. Da 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 Oh, daddy red and your mama. Sorry, I got to put up with the humming, but it's the only thing I can do. That all these, well, I can only call them what they are. These companies who have stolen public domain music and said they own it. It's the only thing I can do. I mean, there's no fighting them there. It's just unbelievable. I even tried going into the second tier, which is, you know, they say, on behalf of this person or group, we're collecting the rights for this painting. So I got hold of this guy in Germany. I can't remember what song it was. Anyway, it was an old public domain song. It was written about 1910 or something. And it was originally recorded on those little wax disc things. Anyway, he writes me this long letter that the family and whoever have given him the rights to the music. This is after it's been in the public domain, by the way. And the reason for it is he found all the wax pieces and had them played and pieced the music together and actually finally came up with all the music. And finally he says to me, because of this, I claim rights to the music. And I said, okay, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. You may not know. But I say, I restore art. I wrote him this. I said, I restore art. When somebody brings me a painting that is in such awful shape, I've got to rebuild it literally from the foundation up. When I'm finished, I don't own the painting. No matter how much work I've done on it, I don't own the painting. Somebody else owns it. So I said, if I find a painting, then I still don't own it if it's in the public domain. The public owns it. I said, so your whole philosophy here is fallen on deaf ears. I'm in that business, only art. So, no, you don't own it. So then he sends me back a contrite letter saying, yes, I understand what you mean. And he says to me, but this is the only income I have is getting when I'm doing this. Would you take my only income away from me? Because... So I went, oh my God. So I said no, and I dropped my complaint, or not my complaint, but my letter to the Digital Copy Millennial Act to say no, I'm not going to do that. But I said, do you understand the logic? Don't use that argument again, please. It's ridiculous. And he said, sorry. Yeah, I don't want to talk. Which I want to do. I mean, it didn't make that much difference. It didn't make any difference to me, really, because it's just public domain music. But it shows you how deep this... just shows you how deep this has gone. Like, these companies, nobody challenges them. And when you challenge them, I found like 75% of the time they immediately agree and give up their claim to it. That one instance, not all of it, just that one instance. And so I was fighting back, and I finally realized, yeah, I was winning all the battles, but I was losing the war. It's just too big. And then I looked into a bit more, the audiophile people. And this is why, apparently, like, and I include Twitch here, they have got their own songs like that are okay, like that are that it doesn't have an owner, like a big company like Twitch and YouTube and all this stuff. That's why they did that, because it shields them from constantly having to fight off these parasites. And because every time I would get a letter, Google was, or not Google, but YouTube would say, you know, we have like X number of songs in our music library, and you can replace them right now with these, or you can send this letter. Are you sure you want to send this letter? I go, yeah. And then they give you that little caveat, well, you do realize it could possibly end up with suspension of your account, which is their little way of saying, are you sure you want to go down this road? Yeah, I'm sure. But this is what you're dealing with, and honestly, it's rampant. It's just terrible. And I don't know, really, like, they opened up a can of worms in the Millennium Act. And these companies, include Sony, have taken advantage of it. Because most of these companies, they're not, the SME is a big one. And that's Sony Music Entertainment. And they never admit to stealing the stuff. So I was actually going to write a letter to Sony and say, you know what? You got a bunch of bandits working for you. And I thought, you know what? This is turning into real work. And it just isn't worth it. And I think that's 90% of people. They go, this is not worth it. Not worth it. No. Not worth it. No, it ain't. No, not worth it. That was my conclusion anyway. It's not worth it. And I think that's what they bank on. Like, there's no giant company going after them saying, you've broken the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. They know that's not going to happen. So they basically just do whatever they want unopposed. So there's a real problem with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. And someday somebody's going to come along who's big and fight it. But that ain't me. There's nothing in it for me. Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get this little bit of a red tint, rosy tint into the skin here. Right in here. And up into there. And just in here. Jesus, what a color combination he's got going here. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. And he's got her over here too. I think I got her over here okay. But he changes color up again. Yeah, just a little bit there for the rosy cheeks. Man. Like, wow. You're a sneaky bugger, Leonardo. That's what you are. You're a sneaky bugger. You didn't want anybody ever copying you. Oh, I guess it's been copied a few times, I must admit, but I see it. If I can see it, I can paint it. That's the rule. If I can see it, I can paint it. And I can see it. So, and you're really heavy over here with it. Okay. Just a hint. I know, just a hint, just a hint. A little bit of pink. Now here's where he got really, really what's the word? Contentious, I guess. No, that's not dark enough. It's not going to be dark enough too. Well, maybe. Let's see. No, not going to be dark enough. But it's close. Oh, wait a minute. No, I didn't realize I had that out. Okay. Let's throw a bit of white in that. Let's just see how that works out. No, not quite right. Okay. So, out comes pale violet. Brand new tube, yes, as we can see, brand new tube of paint, never been used before, and it's the very reason that I ordered it, because I knew I would need it, and now I need it. So people say, well, do you plan ahead? Yeah, I do. So I'll put a little of that violet in here, and it got a little bit over here, right into the corner of her mouth. And he loves that pale violet. In fact, he's got it everywhere. So, not to disappoint, we will include that and then glaze over top of it, so as not to make it too obvious. And it's the complete shadow of her nose. That'll come down to about here, and then the when I sketch it out, I sketch out like the main stuff, and there always is some little place where I haven't thought it through, like in the sketch, and it comes back to bite me in the ass every single time. And I gotta go back and look at it and measure it and figure out the color. Well, not so much the color, I guess, but the actual the lineage of the thing. And never ceases to amaze me. And I know it when I'm sketching it. Yeah, I'll have to figure it out later. And that's what happens. Every time. Like you'd think maybe I'd get away with it once, you know? Nope. Never. It's like there's a conspiracy. Maybe that Alex Jones guy, maybe he'll take it up. Have you ever heard of that lunatic? Yeah. Oh my God, just unbelievable. And what kills me is they take him to court and sue him, and he admits in court that he made it all up. And that doesn't stop him. He just goes right back and starts doing it again. And people listen to him. I mean, it's almost unbelievable. The guy can say anything. Well, it's just like Trump. But anyway, he can say anything, and yeah, he knows he's going to get sued once in a while. He doesn't really give a damn. Pays, I guess, the network, wherever he works for, pays the fine. He apologizes and admits, hits the papers, and then 15 minutes later he's back doing exactly the same thing. The one that really gets me is the one about the Boston Marathon bombing. Oh my God. I don't know if you've ever looked into conspiracies, but if you ever look into that, or you ever look into actual conspiracies, what you'll find is that in order to really have a successful conspiracy, you can't have too many people involved, because the group has to be extremely small, because what you're doing is you're perpetrating a lie. So if you're going to do it, you got to keep the actual situation very small, very, very small. Then you go out and you work backwards. Everything that ever happened is just part of that conspiracy, and you don't have to prove anything because it's a conspiracy, right? I mean, you know, it's like the guys who, the Illuminati who supposedly run the world. Sorry. Oh, anyway. So anyway, you get this, but he picked the idiot, and he's got to be an idiot. He picks the Boston Marathon, and he says they're all actors. All this shit. Oh God! I mean, talk about having a cast of thousands. So you know, they finally go to all those people, I guess, and say, you know, the ones who are trying to debunk it, and say, was it real though? And they go, real? Well, I'm standing here without any legs. I think it's pretty real to me. You know, like, and you know, it's just beyond belief. It just, I mean, the thing, if he was a good conspiracy theorist, he wouldn't have picked that one. And he wouldn't have picked it because there's too many people involved. Because, you know, you end up with 500 or 1,000 people who all say to you, yeah, I was there and it happened. I mean, you'd clear out Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, it's impossible. You just can't make it that big. And anyway, it just breaks me up. Every time I hear it, I go, oh my God, are you shitting me? No, he's not shitting you. He wants you to believe it. The Boston Marathon was all a big scam. So then you ask yourself, well, but see, he doesn't stop there. Once he develops makes you believe the theory that it's all just it's all a scam, then you can start adding stuff in. Well, this person didn't have a birth certificate, or this person, you know, you get that plausibility situation going. Until somebody goes, well, hold on. We interviewed 500 people who were there, and they all said it happened. What are you talking about? And they go, oh, well, don't confuse us with the facts. You know, no, that's Senator so-and-so said so. Unbelievable. And it's been going on since Jesus was a little boy. You know, like, people will believe anything. Especially if it's on the radio. It would seem, anyway. But God, you know, who are these people who believe this stuff? Mind you, I shouldn't say that because I ran into one in Belize. He had he had an answer for everything. This guy was an actor, and this guy was that, and this guy was that. And at first I thought he was joking. Well, he wasn't joking. He actually believed it. So, unfortunately, it kind of ruined the friendship, because then I realized, you know, he was, I didn't realize it at the time, but then I finally realized he was stark raving mad. He looked normal, but he was stark raving mad. He'd tell me shit, and I didn't even know who Alex Snow was until I started looking into this website he has, and I'm going, oh my God, are you shitting me? You actually believe this stuff? And I had to cut him loose, which was too bad, because he was a nice guy, but he had a screw loose when it came to stuff like this. Mind you, a lot of expats in Belize had screw looses. That's why they're there. But it was something else. All actors, and oh jeez, just literally, when he first told me all this, I thought he was just joking. And you know, you finally get that sinking feeling that, oh my God, he actually believes this. And then what do? You go, yeah, I'll look into that. By the way, oh, look what time it is. I gotta go. The trouble is he lived right next door to me. Jesus Christ, it's just unreal. So every time I saw him, I wouldn't let him draw me into any type of comment on anything, because I knew where it was going. Alex Smith, or whatever, Alex Jones, that's what it was. Alex Jones. He was a convert. The only truth man in the United States. The only guy who's got the guts to tell the truth. Okay. If you say so, it must be true. But it was hilarious. In a scary way. It really was. It was just hilarious. The stuff you would come out with. Oh yeah, that's all fake. Yep. That's all fake. And one time he tried to convince me the Russians had developed a levitation device, a la like Star Trek or whatever, and it had been around since, oh shit, like the 70s. They'd had this technology. I said, really? And he said, oh yeah. He says, you know what? I went over to Russia. So apparently he had some business there. I don't know what it was, but it couldn't have been that important. Mind you, there are crazy people in power. Trump's there. But anyway, he says, yeah, I saw it. I said, you saw somebody levitate a tank? Oh yeah. Okay. 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 I don't mean as somebody. It was a machine. I don't mean like a person did it. They had a machine that could do levitation. I was... Okay. Yeah, they showed it to me. Okay. And he would never go to the west coast of the United States. He told me, never. Oh, never. I'll never go there. Never. I said, oh. Don't you have relatives and stuff? Or, you know, hey, he's American. He went, yeah, but I'll never go there. I go, well, why? He goes, well, Fukushima plant there that got hit with the tidal wave. I said, yeah. He goes, all the water's radioactive. I went, what? He goes, yeah. He says, so if I go down to the beach with a Geiger counter, the water will be radioactive. He goes, absolutely. I said, okay. Okay. So then I did have a little fun. I said to him, well, I guess that means then that those properties in Malibu are really going to be going cheap eventually. He goes, well, they'll have to. They'll be living in a radioactive environment. I went, right. So they're going to be just dirt cheap. They'll be giving them away. He goes, probably, yeah. Just wait a little bit. I said, okay. That was 4 years ago. Haven't heard a word. Radioactive. Yep. Absolutely. Don't you forget it. Okay. I won't. He was a Looney Tune. I'm not going to mention what happened to him, but eventually he Looney Tuned him out of everything. He Looney Tuned himself out of everything. His wife, his investments, his just crazy. Just absolutely crazy. So in a sense, I guess he paid for his beliefs, but the price was pretty high, I gotta tell you. And he even had people who I knew said, well, don't you feel sorry for him? I said, no, not really. The only thing he didn't have was a tinfoil hat. Which I'm sure he could have worn. But that's, I think, where he's going to end up, wearing a tinfoil hat. But I'll tell you, you would never know until you got to know him just how crazy he was. It was, I don't think I've ever met a person quite that crazy. Oh no, I guess I have, yeah. Of course, not a person who wasn't diagnosed as crazy. That's what I should say. I did have a student one time. He was schizophrenic, and he was stark raving mad. But at least I knew he was schizophrenic. So when he unbuttoned his shirt and showed me all the tinfoil wrap that he had around his body, I wasn't surprised. Mind you, he was a nice guy. I liked him, but this guy, man, it was something to behold. But the guy who was schizophrenic, no, you just knew he was crazy. He wasn't violent crazy, though. He was just crazy. But he wasn't stupid, I'll tell you that. Remember when I first met him? He was having some legal problems because unfortunately the justice system doesn't recognize mental illness as a reason for strange behavior. And I originally met him. His parents had pulled him out of university and brought him home because he was getting in more and more trouble. Till finally, this girl accused him of stalking and cyber stalking her, which really meant that he was sending her emails or texts. I don't remember which. So I went, Jesus Christ, I mean, that's a little severe, the amount of trouble you're in for texting somebody too much. I mean, couldn't they just block it or whatever? I don't know, whatever. He went, yeah, I guess you could. But anyway, what happened is that, so one day I asked him, well, how many texts are we talking about here? And he told me, and then I knew he was seriously crazy. And how he kept getting her number was he would text her friends until, to get rid of them, they would say, well, yeah, well, here's her new number. So much for friends, right? Because I guess they were scared. Maybe it was a good thing. I don't know. But, so I asked him, I said, well, how many times did you text this girl? Well, where they're claiming way more than I actually did is what he told me. I said, well, okay, it's not hard to figure out how many you've done. I mean, let's face it. It's all on record somewhere. He goes, well, yeah, I guess, whatever. I said, well, come on, man. How many times do they have you in front of the judge for? He says, well, they're claiming that I text her 8,000 times. I said, over a period of how long? He went, 2 months. And I went, Chris, buddy, That's I took, what was the math? 60 into 8,000. I don't know. Maybe 100 texts a day or something. I don't know. That was a lot. I said, oh my God. And you're wondering why the girl freaked out? He goes, well, I just wanted to talk to her. I said, yeah, but she didn't want to talk to you. Obviously. And he goes, yeah, well, I finally figured that out. I haven't had any contact with her. I go, no, Chris, you have no contact with her because the courts have told you if you have any contact with her at all, you're going in the slammer, man. He goes, yeah, I know. So then he'd disappear, and all of a sudden he would come in and sit there. He'd come back into the gallery, and he would sit in one of the chairs there. And he'd wait until I was finished so I could talk to him. And so when I was done whatever I was doing, I'd say, well, Chris, where you been, man? He goes, I just got out of jail. I went, you just got out of jail? I said, why were you in jail? He goes, I went, no. He went, yeah, they got me again. I said, texting? I said, you can't be texting that girl, man. You know they're going to nail you. He goes, no, it was a different girl this time. I went, oh, a different girl? He goes, yeah. So I went, oh, man. He never would go near them. He just texted them. But, you know, you meet somebody, you don't think you're going to get 8,000 texts. Well, they found out. And then they'd call the police. And the police would look it up and say, oh yeah, we know who he is. And he'd get arrested again. And this went on and on and on and on and on. I think he's in BC now, because I do get an email from him once in a while. But he was smart, you know, like this is a while ago now. And what he'd do is he would, they'd ban him from the internet. Like he couldn't have any contact, like nothing, like banned. You couldn't have any internet connection at all. So his parents went to great lengths to make sure that there was no internet connection, there was nothing. And what he'd do is he would go into the basement and he would he'd get the next door neighbor's Wi-Fi, and he broke in like in the middle of the night, and then he had full internet. He'd get there, figure out their password somehow. I don't know, he knew how to do all. He was very clever. He knew how to do all that stuff. And he'd tell me. He always told me what he was doing. And I'd go, you know, like, don't you think if they find out you're going to get into more trouble? And he'd go, I can't live without the internet. I mean, you know. I go, yeah, but, you know, Chris, you're going to be doing it. What are you going to do when you're sitting in jail? Like, there's going to be no internet for you there. He goes, true. I says, well, maybe you shouldn't be hijacking your neighbor's Wi-Fi. What if they find out? You go, well, they can't find out. I said, well, sure they can find out. Somebody can say to them, you know, it's not secure. You're making your parents into accessories because they've promised the court that you're nowhere near an internet connection, and here you're stealing your neighbor's signal. He goes, oh, yeah, right. I said, maybe you better not do that. And then he'd say to me, well, can I use the internet when I'm here? I went, yeah, sure, but you can't text, you can't email anybody. You can just look stuff up, whatever you want, but you can't do anything else. And he never did. I checked a few times, and yeah, he never did. So he was good as his word. young guy too. He was like 26, 27. I don't know. Then I started to wonder, do I just attract crazies? Why did they come to me? And the sad part was is that this all didn't show up until he was like 19 or something. Before that, he was just a normal kid. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. Which I found out later was normal for this type of affliction. I've actually had more than one. I once had a beautiful, really beautiful young girl. Well, I say a young girl, I'm saying she's 15, 16, I don't know. And she was half Japanese. Her dad was Canadian, white Canadian, and her mom was from Japan. And she was, man, she was a knockout. She was going to grow up to be movie star beautiful. And I watched her go slowly but surely into schizophrenia. It was the saddest thing I ever saw. Terrible. And it came out slowly, slowly, slowly. And the sad part was I had to kind of, well, I ended up having to say to her parents, she's got to get help. Because her father was an absolute, complete denial. Absolutely, and I mean absolute denial. So I talked to her mother and said, you've got to help her, get her help. Because she's... What it was with her is she thought that people were videotaping her, or, videoing her all the time. So no matter where she went, there was videotape. Or, I guess in those days it would have been just video. It was after tape. And I at first I thought she was joking when it first started. And I'd say, oh, come on. And she'd go, no, they are. And I'd say, okay, how are they taping you right here? She goes, well, probably. And I'd go, there's no tape in here. Nothing. You know that. Look around, look in every corner. You won't find anything. There's no tape. Nothing. She goes, well, just because I can't find it doesn't mean it's not there. And what got me was she had an answer for every single thing. Every single thing. It didn't matter. Whatever it was, she had an answer for it. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And that was a few years ago. I lost touch with her, but oh man, what a shame. But there wasn't a situation that you could come up with that she didn't think somehow they were videotaping her. I tried. No go. Impossible. She had an answer for everything. It's a fucking awful disease. Especially when you see it in young people. Like, oh my God. And you realize it's uncurable. You know? Incurable, not uncurable. Incurable. Incurable. Those are the two that really stick out in my mind. And I used to do autistic kids too. That's where I learned how to not feel sorry for people with autism. Because I found out eventually that what you want to do if you deal with people with autism, you find out that they know they've got autism, and they use it to their advantage. I know it sounds cruel and inhuman and all that stuff, but it's true. It's great when you can say, oh, he's autistic. And I did have a couple of bad ones. Again, though, unfortunately, the parents had rose-colored glasses on. He just didn't. It wasn't until he almost killed his sister that they finally figured out. Well, he didn't do it on purpose. I don't. But he hit her. He was a great big guy, and he hit her so hard that he damn near killed her. That they finally had to do something. They finally realized it. This is not a good thing. That's what it took. And his wasn't a pretty story because he had been so spoiled by his family, his parents. There was no controlling him. Any environment he was in, he just wouldn't listen, wouldn't do anything that anybody said. And it was a tragic story because he ended up in like autistic, I didn't even know there was such a thing. There's autistic jail. Apparently there's like a jail, literally, where people that can't be managed, they put them in there. And he was one of those. And I think after the third or fourth run in with the police, that's where he ended up. And it's a life sentence. You can't get out. So it's not even jail. It's just terrible. And as try as I might, I just never felt sorry for him. Because I'll tell you, when they gave out the assholes, they gave him a second helping. It was unbelievable. Just how bad he was. Yeah, I'd say bad, like just spoiled rotten. Just unbelievably. He was in charge at all times. Or so he thought. I ended up having to control them was I'd say, oh, I guess I'll have to call the police. Then it was like you threw cold water on them. Says, no, no, no police, no police, no police, no police, no, 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 I'd be good, I'd be good, I'd be good. That's what would happen. I went, oh, fuck. I mean, they paid well. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I wasn't doing it for free. But it get to the point where you just, it isn't worth it. Like, I got so used to them that it didn't bother me really at all. But what I didn't realize was, which is really stupid of me, was that people who came before or after him were really scared of him. And finally they told me, well, one of them told me, and spoke for the other one and said, you know, we're really scared of this guy. And I went, oh shit. And I said, I'm really sorry, I didn't even think. And they went, oh yeah. He was a big guy, you know. I never worried about it, but I guess if you're female and you're a woman, and I never even took that consideration, which surprised me, because usually I'm pretty cognizant of that kind of stuff. But no, don't ask me why. I never even thought about it, and as soon as I heard it, I said, well, that problem's solved. He won't be coming here again. And that's exactly what I did. It's over. I can't have people coming in after you. I didn't tell him that. I told his parents and his handler that. I says, I can't do it. I can't have people coming in here afraid. This is an art environment. This is not where people come to be afraid. And that's the kind of, and the parents asked me, so like, whoa, no, you're very good with him. He can listens to you. You can get him to do some artwork and all this thing. I said, yeah, but I'm used to his nonsense. I said, people who are coming here aren't used to that, and they're afraid, and that can't be fixed. So I'm not having other people coming here afraid of your son. So then they tried a few other tactics, like, can you just do him all by himself? Well, I was doing. I said, well, you know, I taught lessons from like 10 o'clock in the morning till 9 at night. I just wasn't interested in doing more than that. And I said, no, I'm not gonna, we pay you more. No, thank you. You know, there comes a limit. You know, well, they'd reached the limit. I already made my decision. I said, no. Ah, Smuckleberry, how you doing? I just looked up and there you were. Yeah, I'm talking about schizos that and autistic that I've had or I've taught over the years, and just how wild and crazy guys. But this guy, this kid was rich, and well, he wasn't rich. His parents were rich, and they didn't like being told. No, they didn't. And he had a full-time handler as well that I got to know really well. His name was Jim. Really well. Like, Jim was always there because he was a professional. Well, he was a social worker. He knew what he was used to dealing with this stuff. So I kind of learned off him what to do. So, and also I kind of saved his ass one time when he went crazy and went after Jim, who was about half his size, and I grabbed him and held him down until he cooled off. Which I found out later, this is the weird part, it could have caused me a lot of trouble. I didn't realize at the time. Which I don't quite understand, because he was going to do in or kick the living shit out of Jim. I'm like, what do I do? Just stand there and watch? Like, where's the law on this? Like, where am I in trouble if I stop this? Because I ended up depraved indifferent. Or him. I said, yeah, kick him some more. Not my problem. Like, is that what you're saying to me? And so I never did find out whether or not that was a real worry or not. I don't know. Didn't matter anyway. It was all over. Used to kill me when he got out of hand. His father's idea of making him happy was to go buy him a new computer, a new laptop. Then I finally asked Jim, I said, well, how many laptops does he have? He goes, oh, lots. And I said, well, doesn't his father realize that it just doesn't work? Like, he goes, oh yeah. I said, well, what happens to the laptops? He goes, well, in those days anyway, when you bought a laptop, it came preloaded with a bunch of games and all this crap, like, the preload stuff. Well, he would play those games, the free ones, until they went to you got to pay, and then he would start another one. And that's what he liked. Like, the promo part of the game, he thought that was just the greatest thing. And so his father, every time he bought him a laptop, there'd be different games on it. And that's what they did. I said, well, how many goddamn laptops do you need? He goes, oh, he's got a room full. Like, never ceases to amaze me, like, what people will do, like, like, holy Christ. Like, how many do you need? Like, it's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah. Shut the window and then I die of the heat. Yeah, right. Because the lights, they're hot. Anyway, that was the story of one of the autistic people I used to teach. The other ones were not that bad, but you do realize, I did realize that all of them, and I mean all of them, use all the ones that I had any deal with, use their affliction to their benefit. Any advantage they could get out of it, they did. which was fine. But, you know, they always, what they never could figure out is they ended up the loser, though. That was what killed me. They never thought it through to the point, I guess they couldn't do that, where they realized that they were the ones who lost. It was for the moment they were ahead, but they didn't have any long game. But the fact that they would do it was enough to finally just say, oh, I don't need this crap. So I kind of ended up not taking any more. So then I kind of felt bad, you know, like, Jesus, you know, like, there just weren't that many guys like me in town, so what I did, one of the guidance teachers had approached me from one of the high schools and said, would you consider doing this? I said, well, what? And he went, well, you're like a certified artist. I said, yeah. He goes, would you consider letting some students come who did not get enough credits for their graduation? This would have been grade 12, like they were short of credit. And if they come here for like 8 or 10 weeks, we will give them their credit so they can graduate from high school. I thought, oh boy, that kind of sounds like I'm giving it to the community or a little bit, you know, like good business people should do that. I said, yeah, I guess I can do that. So I started doing that. And let me tell you, the collection of misfits that came was enough to put you off humanity. I think I did 10 of them over a space of a few years, because it was like they literally would do the entire summer semester with me. That's what would happen. Now, some of them were really good. I mean, I'm not talking about all of them, just some of them. Some of them were really arty kids who just couldn't do math and needed a creditor or something. You know, some of it was like that. But some of them, man, oh man, oh man. Oh. I had one girl come in, or one time, and I took her on. She was half Canadian, half Peruvian. And her father was a really smart guy. He was a geologist. Like the real thing. Like, and so I said, yeah, okay. So I brought her in. Oh my God. I took one look at her and said, well, first of all, she can't come here with her teeth green. You're going to have to get her to go to the dentist. I said, I don't care if they're straight. I don't care what they are. But green is not a color for teeth that I can put up with. At least not when you're dealing with the public. And so the guidance guy says, yeah, he'll take her, but you got to take her to the dentist and get her teeth cleaned. Now, she took umbrage with that. I don't know why, because she ended up getting her teeth cleaned, which I would have thought would have been, you know, a good thing. She must have noticed. But no, she was a contrary personality. And she was the laziest. uncommunicative. The weirdest one, though, was actually a girl from, this wasn't in that situation. This was a girl who was kind of wanted a job. That's what she wanted for like the summer. Like, and I needed it. She came with great credentials. She went to the Ontario College of Art, which was where I originally came from. And she contacted me, and the emails back and forth, and her resume, and what she could do, and I went, man alive, this was great, really. Because now I got somebody who's going to be trained here besides me who can sort of pick up the slack. You know, if I got a effing headache or something, I can say, you know, take over. You know, like, whatever. I thought this is going to be great. So after like a dozen emails and all that stuff, I met her. Nothing strange there, just a 21, well, in those days, like 10 years ago, she'd be 30 something now. But she's like a normal art student, like nothing weird, nothing untoward. But there was a huge problem. And the problem was that she could not relate to people at all. At first I thought, maybe it's something I'm doing. But if somebody would talk to her, she would just like give a one-word answer, then clam up. And she even did it with me. And I'm going, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. We talked, like I'm saying to myself, we talked in emails and all this stuff, and me. Then I realized what the problem was. Yeah, she didn't deal with people. She dealt with like the cyber world. When it came to reality, she was a mess. And I went, yeah, it can't be. So we went and went on for about a week, and actually it was getting worse, not better. Till finally I had to say to her, I said, I'm sorry. You know, I have the gallery, but I need you for the Art Academy, not the gallery. That's a different thing. I don't need you for, I need you to help me, and you can't even, I had to say this politely, you know, you can't even converse. And half hour? Okay. Yep. So I said to her, I said, I'm sorry. But I just, you know, it's just not working. And I was kind of surprised just how well she took it. And then it dawned on me, this wasn't the first time she'd been told this. So I never asked her for details, but I realized that she must have known she had this problem. But I'll tell you, on an email, you'd have never known it. Never in a million years. I'm not kidding. It was shockaroo. I'd never run into it before, but I ran into it more towards to the point where I finally sold the business. The young people coming in were just like hopeless. It was just, they spent their entire lives online. And it was so then I asked some of the Sheridan College instructors and stuff, what the fuck is going on? They went, oh, tell me about it. You finally see it, eh? I went, oh yeah. They go, oh yeah. It's a disaster waiting to happen. I went, oh my God. She says, yeah, nobody wants to even acknowledge it. I went, you mean the school is just going along with this? She went, oh yeah. They don't give a shit. I went, oh my God. A lost generation. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know. I don't know what kind of jobs they get. Like, if it isn't something just behind a computer screen, I don't know how they're gonna survive. I don't know. It's a strange one to me. Strange. And your daddy. Da, 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 and the living is easy. Gotta tell you, there's some pretty fancy glazing going on right now, brush-wise. Brush glazing, I should say. This is a phenomenon that happens when you paint. You don't let the underpainting dry, and what happens is it'll actually lift the paint. If you leave it overnight, you're fine. Who's got time to do that? Not me. So I just put up with it and fix it. If I can fix it. There we go. A little bit lighter touch. I want to get a shadow, but I don't want it. Sometimes you can get a little heavy-handed. So what you do is you go right in and start using the very tips of your bristles to fix the problem. It's no big deal, but it's annoying. And especially when you know what's causing it. No, there's worse things. I'll just let it dry like that. Well, like being honest with you, I think I'm getting that Leonardo look. You think so, Shuckleberry? Am I getting him? Liquitex, absolute mon frere. There you go. I'll tell you though, I'm going to tell you, I just recently discovered this. The professional brand of Winsor Newton has just brought out a formula with their Pro line acrylics. Where are we here? Let's see. Here, artist acrylic professional stuff. Can you see that? Anyway, they've just brought that out, and there is a retarder built right into the paint. And let me tell you, it really works good. I'm just absolutely floored that Liquitex hasn't jumped on the bandwagon. Like, yeah, I know there, and yes, I do know you can get extender and all that stuff. I'm not saying you can't do that. But the thing is, it's built right into the paint. And the thing is, it's obviously it's easily done, or Winsor Newton wouldn't have done it. And I'm more than a little impressed with this stuff, which is unlike me, because I'm pretty hard to make happy when it comes to paint. I gotta admit, I'm a pretty hard sell. But boy, I changed my tune on that paint. I'm more than happy with it. Just, especially for a guy like me, because I do tons of glazing and stuff, so I've got paint out and it's drying, right? So, but for overall quality of paint, yes, Liquitex is still #1. But it's not that far ahead, in my opinion anyway, from Winsor Newton Professional. I like the colors a bit more, Liquitex. Oh, by the way, I only use heavy body, eh? So that's all I use. That's it. Just heavy body. So if you're talking soft body or something like that, I'm not the guy to talk to. I don't like it, the soft body stuff. I like the hard body stuff. But nobody makes a transparent white better than they do. Absolutely nobody. I don't care who they are. Nobody. Because when it comes to my style of painting, transparent white's my best friend. Because I do a lot of glazing, right? So that's the way it is. But Liquitex, man, they have the formulas down just right. But like everything, you know, even with oil painting, I use a combination. Some Tri-Art stuff's good, some Winsor stuff's good, Liquitex is better than this and that. But sometimes you'll get a color or whatever. I've used them all, so I kind of know which brand to get for what color. And let me tell you, overall though, I will agree. I mean, tube to tube, yeah, Liquitex. That's my favorite. But you know, saying that, I know guys who will only use Winsor, and I know guys who only use Grumbacher. I know guys, you know, it kind of, it comes down to what you you're used to, you know, like, you know, you get into these pseudo arguments like, oh yeah, that my brand's the best paint. Well, no, it's not. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Could your paint do this or that? Yeah, yeah. Well, what it really comes down to is how skilled are you in mixing your paints, right? But nobody takes that into consideration when you're shooting the shit, right? Nobody. Yeah, fall on the floor, why don't you? Oh, there's a nice brush. Okay. I'll tell you though, Da Vinci, Jesus H. Man, oh man, oh man. He didn't leave one iota unresolved in his painting. Nothing. No wonder he carried around Mona Lisa for his whole life. He probably died figuring it wasn't quite finished with it. But again, you know, like, he's a painter extraordinaire. And yes, there's guys who could paint as good as him. Lots of guys in the Baroque era could paint like he did. And did. But, you know, he was painting quite a while prior to that. So. And he has his own distinct style. It's that incredible, dreamy, color combo, like, you know, like, it's just, I've never seen one up close in person. The closest I'm getting here is it's as if I was like 2 inches from the canvas, because it's 1080p, and I'm really looking at this reference photo and probably better than I'd see it in person. The only thing I'm not 100% sure on is exact color. I mean, I'm sure this is, I did actually find a piece with the exact color on it, so I do know I'm okay. But he literally just, it's just amazing. I remember reading one time that they figured out how many glazes were on the forehead, the nose of the Mona Lisa. There's a name for it in art. Geez, I can never remember the bloody name. Call it old age, I don't care. But anyway, the name of it, and they came up with a number based upon the scan about how many layers of glaze he had put down. How many do you think he put down? I'll tell you. They estimated at least, and that was at least, not so air upwards. That's what they're saying. But what they could completely guarantee, there were almost 300, there were over 300 layers, glazes on the skin. And if you go, holy shit, Now you know what I'm talking about. This is the kind of until he was happy with it. I mean, can you imagine? Now, I don't think on this picture there's 300 glazes on it, because this was a commission, and he kept the Mona Lisa for his whole life. So he probably just kept applying glazes, because these are oil glazes, so it had to dry, right? So he kept it for his whole life, the Mona Lisa. So my guess is that he just kept putting glazes on more and more and more and more, until the point where it was so perfectly glazed that he was happy with it. But still, when you think about it, 300 glazes of paint. God, can you imagine? Well, I can imagine it, because when I did Vermeer's The Girl with the Pearl Earring, I actually put on over 75 glazes of color onto her face to get the right look in acrylic. 75 goddamn glazes, can you imagine? That's what I did. And the girl with the red, in the red hat, Vermeer's Girl in the Red Hat, same thing. The face alone had that many glazes on to get the right colors. And the change, you know, from one tone to the next. Oh, Jesus. I mean, really. So it doesn't surprise me. But you see, I'm doing an acrylic, right? So I haven't got that problem. I can glaze away till the cows come home. It makes no difference. Because it just takes, as long as it takes the paint to dry. And if you're an acrylic painter, you know, sure as hell doesn't take that long. Touch, little darling. Okay, well, that is it for tonight. Schmuckleberry, thank you for dropping in. Nat, thank you for following. I appreciate it. And that's our first pass at Da Vinci for this evening. And I hope everybody has a lovely evening. And we shall continue as I figure out the exact colors over and over and over again. Anyway, have a great evening. I'll be here probably tomorrow, but you'll see I'll have all the information up by then. Scott will do all that for me. So have a great evening. Good night.